President Biden, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis holding dueling fundraisers in California yesterday for their 2024 presidential campaigns. DeSantis releasing a new campaign ad before his two-day trip where he slammed California Governor Gavin Newsom for the state's crime crisis, homelessness, population loss. Watch this.
I see what everybody's seeing, asking myself, what the hell is going on? I mean, look like a third world country.
We've witnessed a great American exodus from states governed by leftist politicians.
Joining me now, Wall Street Journal Main Street columnist and former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush, Bill McGurn. Bill, it's always good to see you. I love speaking with you. What do you make of this? I mean, here's President Biden. He's in California. He's in Palo Alto, which, to be clear, is Silicon Valley. That is not San Francisco. That's an hour drive's difference. He's well north of Los Angeles, where it's a disaster. Here he is on a beautiful pier, not speaking about any of the things that are plaguing the state of California.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's about time that some Republicans started making the issue Joe Biden rather than President Trump. Gavin Newsom always says California's, the first place for Democratic policies. A lot of stuff Joe Biden is put into effect nationally kind of has origins in California. So I think the red state, blue state divide is going to be a big source of debate, and I say bring it on.
Well, President Trump sitting down with Fox News' Bret Baier in his first TV interview since his federal indictment. This is, of course, related to his classified documents case. Here's the former president last night.
There are 31 documents listed. Nuclear capabilities of foreign countries, related to military capabilities of foreign countries, intelligence briefings on foreign countries. Why do you want to hold on to those documents after you're president?
I don't say I do.
You just didn't know what was in the boxes?
With NARA, giving them back. All of a sudden, we've got raided, which is a violation of my, Fourth Amendment rights. They raided my home, and they came and they took things.
So you're not worried about this case?
Based on the law, zero. Zero.
Bill, your reaction to that?
It was fascinating because most lawyers would tell their clients, don't say anything. But Donald Trump doesn't respond to, most conventional advice. I think he's building a popular case. I'm not sure it works legally with the cases. I was really struck in the interview. I thought Bret Baier did a great job. But I was struck when Bret asked him, what are you going to do to get the independent voter, the woman in the suburbs that you need and kind of lost the last time? And he immediately reverted to I won the 2020 election. I don't think that's a winning message for Republicans. I don't even think it's a winning message for Donald Trump. That's looking backwards. People want to know, what are you going to do for me? And in 2016, he had a great list, especially of the judges that he would nominate.
I want to bring in former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins. He is on set with me, and I think that this is a very valid point that Bill is bringing up, and that he was asked about those voters. He did lose that block of voters in 2020. I'm not sure that message that he gave to his response to Bret Baier is really going to win over those particular voters. But I'm not the politician you are, so you tell me.
No, and Bill's right. I think this is an issue that you got to look at. The president's going to make his case to the popular vote. And right now, he's still in that Republican primary popular vote mentality. And there is such a large percentage that still have issues with the 2020 election. The question is, can you build on the 2020 election, saying, here's what we did to fix this and move forward in the future? I think that's going to be the key to him getting back to that message that 2016 had. He said, we're going to be stronger, we're going to have better jobs, you're going to be better, and I'm going to do things that nobody else will do. And if he gets back to that and does like his trips to the Waffle House and to the diners and stuff, that's the Donald Trump that has the winning message. And I think he'll have to refine that as he goes forward. Bill, you agree with that?
I agree with some of it. I think the problem with 2020 is it looks backwards. And I don't know what specific thing Donald Trump is offering to do as a matter of policy that's going to make, he just says it's going to get better. But I suspect when we get into the nub of the debate, Ron DeSantis and the other candidates are going to have a list of things they would do. And I don't think people just want to look back and exact revenge. I don't think that's a winning message. I think Donald Trump would have a better message. Last night he talked about his achievements in the White House. That was good. But I would talk about how I'm going to build on them this time. Instead, I think the 2020 thing, he can't help himself.
Yeah, and I think, Dana Perino made a really good point last night that on Fox News that, that voter that he's going to need, that suburban woman, is the one that's going to the grocery store and paying for the bill and looking at what things are costing. And there's an opportunity there to say to that person, hey, my economic policies can change this. But is that going to be Donald Trump, or is that going to be a Ron DeSantis or a Tim Scott, or I don't have time to list everybody in the group. But anyway, let's move. I do want to move on to your op-ed in the Wall Street Journal this morning. It's on Hong Kong. This past weekend marked 2 years since Hong Kong's Apple Daily published its last edition. That paper published by entrepreneur Jimmy Lai. You're right, quote, who needs censorship when you can take a newspaper from its owner and drive it out of business altogether. In doing this to Jimmy Lai and to Apple Daily, Hong Kong changed from a model of property rights and press freedom to a place where the law means whatever its leaders want it to mean. In other words, just another Chinese city. Jimmy Lai, a good friend of this program, Maria, interviewed him several times and after he was jailed, and we have not spoken to him in quite some time. Bill, tell me more about this op-ed.
Well, for the anniversary of the last issue of Apple, which was a really independent source of news, and I think it's really dangerous. Hong Kong claims to be a world center of finance where it's safe to do business and your property rights are secure. And they basically froze and drove Apple out of business and took the assets without benefit of any court judgment or order. I think if Apple's not safe, the message is no one is. And it's not getting enough attention because it's a really sinister way of eliminating honest press coverage. Instead of fighting and censoring pieces one by one, just put the guy out of business and take his paper from him.
Where's Jack? What happened to Jack Ma? We were watching Alibaba today. Look at what happened to Jack Ma. And this is China. And, what Antony Blinken, was he with face-to-face with Xi Jinping? Did he bring up Jimmy Lai? Did he bring up Hong Kong? I don't think he did. Bill McGurn, thank you very much for being here this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right.